Through the Stone. Egil was a bold kid. Ever since he was little, he and his friends would grab sticks and head into the woods to fight imaginary tigers. Their enemies were often an invented tribe of forest people who defended their land from bloodthirsty intruders. Sometimes, Egil imagined himself as the leader of the group. He would climb the tallest rock and shout at the top of his lungs, "It's me, Egil! Fear me!" But his friends didn't fear him. They laughed so hard at his desperate attempts to look important, then shoved him off the rock, after which each of them, one by one or all at once, tried to climb up and push the others down while shouting all kinds of inappropriate things. When Egil was 12, his father, Farmer George, who raised chickens for a living, walked into his son's room. He said there was nothing left for them on Earth and that Egil needed to pack because the family was moving to another, sunnier and more fertile planet in the Marilyn Monroe constellation, to the planet Bordeaux. Egil wasn't thrilled about the idea, especially since the flight would take about 20 years. By the time he woke up in his capsule, his friends would have long grown up. But his father wouldn't listen. He had an argument he'd been holding on to for years. George spoke plainly to his son. His mother might have told him a fairy tale about a magical journey to the planet of dreams, but his father wouldn't sugarcoat it. Earth is oversaturated with all kinds of filth. You don't want to die at 35, do you? Half the people on Earth don't even make it to that age. Your mother can't have more children. You were born our only living child. They say that in 2 or 3 generations, children might stop being born here altogether. Egil frowned. "Dad, that's ridiculous. I'm not even thinking about kids. I'm 12. No one gets married before 15 anymore." That earned him a slap. "Cut it out. I'm doing this not just for you, but for the whole family. Because of this damn plastic, everything on this planet turns into poison. Our ancestors didn't rush to switch to glass and wood, and recycling seemed pointless to them. The result is total contamination, garbage stretching hundreds of miles deep into the ground. So, pack your stuff. We're leaving tomorrow. And don't you dare argue. I'm doing this for your future." His father left, and Egil sat there bewildered. Well, he thought, I'll just have to make new friends on a friendlier planet. Maybe it'll be better than here. He glanced out the window to watch the sunset one last time. Packing wasn't such a big deal. He could always buy new things on another planet, and by then they'd be way cooler anyway. So why take old junk? But there was one thing he did want to bring. Egil cracked the window, made sure his parents were asleep, climbed out, jumped down, and headed toward the old forest. He had been coming here for years. As a kid, his father would often bring him along to gather mushrooms and berries. He wasn't allowed to eat them. They sold everything they found to middlemen. The mushrooms and berries were used to make high-grade pesticides for fertilizing cleansed soil. Truly clean soil, like it had been thousands of years ago, say back in the year 2000, didn't exist anymore. Even the cleaned kind couldn't compare to the old quality, but you could still grow something on it. Millet, rice, poppy seeds. Wheat had been banned for centuries. Constant genetic modifications had destroyed the original code. The old strain was gone. The new one was useless. It wouldn't sprout anywhere, not even on the planet they were headed to. His great-grandfather claimed he once ate bread made from real wheat, but Egil didn't quite believe him. At 58, the brain should have already fallen apart into molecules, he thought. Yet, somehow, he was still alive and one of the oldest living people in the country. Egil wondered if the old man would come with them or stay behind. Lost in thought, Egil reached the forest. He stopped at the first tree and breathed deeply. The air smelled of waste, trash, and just a hint of forest. Barely a hint. He walked over deep red moss, its color the result of radiation after a 200-year-old nuclear war. His great-grandfather swore moss was green, but how could he have known? Maybe in the old man's youth it had been purple instead. After a few miles, Egil stopped at the very rock he and the other farm boys used to climb to compete for the top. Despite the darkness, he climbed to the very peak and shouted at the top of his lungs, "It's me, Egil, fear me." His voice echoed through the night forest. "I'm Egil, and I'm terrifying." Hearing his own words bouncing back from all sides, Egil smirked, pulled a heavy hammer and a thick nail, about 2 inches wide, from his backpack. "I'm taking a piece of this rock to the new, perfect planet. In 20 years, my friends will have forgotten me. Most of them will already be dead from the countless diseases plaguing Earth. Then I, 12-year-old me, will go live and show them this rock and shout my signature line. 'It's me, Egil, fear me.' And my friends will recognize me without a doubt and be happy to see my face." He began pounding at the rock to break off a piece. It took him about 5 hours to crack the boulder. Finally, he held a huge, beautiful chunk of stone in his hands. It took another 2 hours to drag it home and pack it in his backpack. It was the only thing he decided to take to the new planet. As soon as Egil was about to lay down in bed, his father came in and told him to get up. "Come on, it's time to go." The whole family, his father, mother, great-grandfather, and a lame dog, headed to the rocket station. After completing all the paperwork, the family was assigned to their compartments. The flight was called Farmer Class. Mostly, it carried people who worked the land and raised livestock. Alongside them traveled their animals, livestock and poultry in separate cryopods. Chickens and ducks handled the trip well, lasting up to 40 years in stasis without any issues, but turkeys were a nightmare. Most of them died, and the survivors attacked people upon thawing. Cryopods were mostly for animals, but some people chose them because they were cheaper, though no one with the shred of dignity would put themselves through that kind of freezing discomfort and risk of frostbite. Egil's family chose comfort class tickets. In these pods, you could store your belongings and lie comfortably. First, passengers underwent decontamination. The person, their clothes, and their belongings were thoroughly cleansed from microbes and bacteria. Then the pod filled with a gel infused with special gas and compounds that allowed the body to breathe and move slightly in sleep, arriving without major trauma. On long flights, aging slowed at a ratio of 1 to 15, meaning 20 years of travel aged you just over a year. Egil climbed into his pod with his backpack. 2 transport company staff, a young man and a green-haired woman, helped him strap in. They treated him and his clothes with antimicrobials. The blue-eyed man lifted Egil's heavy backpack and pulled out the rock. He looked at his green-haired colleague. "Sophie, are rocks even allowed?" She scanned it. "Yeah, as long as you treat it. Who knows how many microbes are on that boulder?" Once it was processed, the gel filled Egil's pod, enveloping him from head to toe. He closed his eyes with satisfaction and drifted into a long sleep. 20 years later, the farmer-class rocket landed on Bordeaux. The green-haired woman and her now blue-eyed husband sighed of relief. The mission of their lives was complete. They'd brought the colony safely, and now they could retire here in peace, while their children returned to Earth for the rest of humanity. The gel in the pods began to drain, and passengers opened their eyes, climbing out one by one. The rocket's door opened to reveal a vast, sunny planet with forests and lakes. Farmer George took his first breath of clean air and hugged his wife. Paradise! Not a drop of regret for moving here. But where's Egil? George looked around. His son was nowhere to be seen. He approached the green-haired woman for help, and together they walked past thousands of pods. They stopped at the only one still closed. The pod was overgrown with greenery. Inside, wheat, rice, and barley swayed. Long-extinct butterflies fluttered. Ants crawled. "It can't be. This is impossible." He didn't bring seeds or insects. Everything was disinfected. The green-haired woman stared at the living ecosystem inside. I remember that boy. He had a rock. George glared at her. You processed it. Rocks are allowed. Then, it wasn't a rock. It was compressed waste that had fossilized over thousands of years. Here, it found the right conditions to grow. Your son became its soil. Tears streamed down Farmer George's face. But know this, his death was not in vain. His memory will live forever. The green-haired woman pointed to a stalk of wheat and smiled.